Oh, there is a new sheriff in town in Seattle. Mike Hopkins is the newest head coach with the Dogs. He joins us here. It's Pac-12 Media
Can we
Day.
start with this? And we literally haven't seen each other in probably 35 years. We used to play against each other in travel basketball.
Coach, how did that play out? Because I feel like no matter what,
I was on the South Coast, and then we had played in a couple of tournaments with ARC, but I was the end of the bench player. He was the superstar.
I don't remember that.
Yeah,
you were a starter.
He was incredible.
Did Don ever pass?
He was one of the best offensive players that I'd ever seen.
Focus in on
that.
No
question.
All right, I said the new sheriff in town in Seattle. Coach Romar, I feel like every single year, I mean, one of the longest tenured coaches we've had in the conference in recent memory. You now take over a program where I think in a lot of ways we've seen some great talent there. We want to see some wins at the same time. What's this experience been like for you? Because you've been on the bench with Jim Boeheim for 20 plus years now, so we know the experience is there for you, but now all of a sudden you get to call all the shots.
Yeah, no, it's been a great, being at University of Washington, the head coach has been a great honor. The transition has gone a lot smoother than I thought. I mean, there was obviously some ups and downs, but getting this opportunity to come in and, take from what I've learned with Coach Boeheim and with USA Basketball and come in and try to bring a successful system, get these guys prepared, create a culture, and go out there and win some games.
I was going to ask you about that. Is that the first order of business, is creating a culture, how you want to do things day in and day out?
Yeah, no question. From player development to practicing to different habits and, trying to build a family. We go by tougher together. And a lot of this is, getting these guys to buy into each other. In this day and age, you're trying to be a pro, you're doing this, but a lot of that doesn't work. And so we've worked really hard on creating that culture, family environment, and they've done a great job buying in so far.
How do you do that, though, with essentially some new guys that don't know you, right? You come into a new situation, they've been doing it a certain way. It's not like you have a brand new roster. You got some returning guys. A couple of them are going to be on the set in a couple minutes, and there's got to be some buy-in too.
There is, and the first 2 or 3 months, it was I said it was a form of speed dating. They've got to make important decisions based on their life and their career in a month or two before school ends, and we spend a lot of time on the court together and workouts in the morning and training and getting the chance to get to know who I am and the vision of our program. And so I felt there was a lot of connection. There was only one player that we didn't retain from the roster with Matthew Attaway. But we've got great players. We've built a great relationship, and we look to move forward and win some games this year.
Well, what was the message? Obviously, it wasn't a great year for Washington last year. They underachieved, I think, by a lot of people's expectation. But do you just turn the page, or do you use that as motivation?
I don't look at the past. I'm looking at the future and what we're going to bring in the system. And we're all new. Staff is new. We've never worked with each other. Players are learning the new system, but I got to give them a lot of credit. They've bought in. They've worked exceptionally hard, and we look like we're moving in the right direction.
Coach, it was one of the interesting things on Media Day this past summer on the football side. We had two new coaches in the conference in Justin Wilcox and Willie Taggart, and I had asked both of them, how much of the film do you go back and watch from the previous season? One of those coaches said, I don't really watch any of it. It's a new page. And the other guy said, no, I'm actually watching a lot of it. On a basketball front, how familiar do you have to be with some of those guys, or do you just...
Well, I studied. I mean, bottom line, I studied and prepare. And, I think the thing that made the job really appealing to me is Syracuse, where I was long and athletic guys, and we've got a lot of talent. And you look at the defensive numbers last year, 49% defensive field goal percentage, 41 from three-point line. Those are areas, I think, defensively right now with a mindset that we can improve. And we've got some great size, we've got some long length and athleticism, and we've got some upperclassmen, which is exciting.
I don't know if you know this, Mike, but 10 or 12 years ago, your place was the hardest place to play in the league because of the style of play. The fans were into it. Student section was crazy. How important is that to get back to that? Is that part of the culture and starting to win games where you can get that building electric like it was in the past?
I think the biggest thing is grow with us, be a part of it. And you know this, Don. In any great college basketball environment, you got a great home court.
Yeah.
And you've got great fans. And what I've studied and learned about the fans, they love the University of Washington. They love Dogs. They love it. And I'm just excited to go out there and meet the students. We just started school a couple weeks ago, a little bit late. But that's going to be a big push to get that great home court advantage.
David Crisp and Matisse Thabel are going to be joining us in just a few minutes. Two of the notable faces. You can throw Noah Dickerson's name into that equation as well. There's some young guys that are also going to have to contribute. Give some of the fans that haven't seen these guys or don't know much about them what we can expect from some.
Well, we had a class of 4. We had one guy that retained from Coach Romar's class before, Jalen Noel, who's an exceptional scorer. he's a guy who just knows how to do it. You know, he can get in the
I like
lane.
those guys that know how to score.
Yeah, no, he knows how to score. A lot in common, a lot to talk about. Michael Carter was a guy who we got early, a point guard, really shoots the ball well. He's got great upside. And then we got 2 kids from New York, Hamir Wright, 6'9", player out of Albany, and Nas Carter. You know, but again, it goes back to the fit, culture. I think that's a big part of it, and those guys fit perfectly for us.
All right, you mentioned Nas Carter, and obviously there's a famous connection there with Jay-Z. All right, explain sort of number one your favorite Jay-Z song. Like, do you have one, or is that?
Are you not entertained?
All right,
are you not entertained?
Not bad, Coach. Not bad.
All right, that's pretty good.
This has got to be awesome,
a contract,
though, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe Jay-Z will get you on the label, but this has got to be so cool for a lot of these players, knowing that a guy like Jay-Z being an uncle of one of their guys. I mean, that's pretty.
I'm going
neat.
to tell you the greatest thing about Nas is until it came out like those pictures in AAU basketball, you would have never have known that that's who his uncle was, and that's how humble he is. And he, one of the big things is he wanted to create a name for himself and have his own identity, and that's what makes him a special player. And we're really lucky to have him.
It's crazy because Jay-Z's got that East Coast, New York thing, and you just mentioned Nas, right? But then there's like Nas the rapper, also the
with
New
a
York
Z,
Queens
not
thing.
an F.
Exactly. Well done, Coach.
How many times are you going to be at UW games this year when Jay-Z? Are you coming every time Jay-Z's there?
Can I get a heads up? Because I'm usually like strapped to the desk, so maybe we can wiggle my way out, and so I can get up there to check out.
He's in the front row.
We would love that.
Mr. Jay-Z, can I have your autograph, please?
It's really just hanging out with Beyonce.
It'll be selfie. It'll be like a selfie. You want a selfie?
That's right.
We will go down that path.
Well, I'll probably already be there, so you can come join me.
As long as you hook that up. But look, you mentioned the New York thing, and obviously being at Syracuse, you kind of have that pipeline. From a recruiting standpoint, is this going to be kind of a regular thing, going across the country, grabbing some East Coast talent?
One of the great things about Seattle, it's got some of the best talent in the West Coast right in our backyard, and that also makes the job just a great job. And we're going to get guys that want to be Huskies, guys that want to buy into the culture, guys that are fits. We're not recruiting ranking or any of that. And another focus is our player development, professional development on and off the court. And so getting the right guys, I think, is critical to success in our system.
And that's been done for years, though. I mean, you guys got guys from California to Syracuse all the time.
Right. That's exactly right. And the greatest thing is when a New York guy comes out like these 2 guys did, and they see how beautiful the campus is, and then they meet the people. I mean, it's a special place.
Yeah, it's truly awesome. By the way, Coach, you look great, because I know you were dealing with a broken nose in practice, the little black eye deal. Are you chopped
this was moved after a little rib action, but
you're feeling okay, right? I mean, no black and blues.
Yeah, but I see Coach Alfred out there. I see Coach Hurley and Coach Christowiak. It looks like they can still bump around a little bit.
Wait till Wayne gets in.
Glad somebody.
I haven't seen Wayne Tinkle yet. I know they had some travel issues. Got some ballers out there. We should get like a little coaches matchup there.
Whatever. All you care about
noses.
is Jay-Z and when he's going to be at their games.
Is it that obvious?
Yes.
Coach, you're going to hook me up, right?
I'll hook you up.
All right, Coach, all of a sudden you're becoming my favorite guy in the conference. I love it. Best of luck to you this
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, still